I've got one more problem for you folks to try, and it's actually a two-part question. So here I've got this equation where instead of it being solved for y, it's solved for x instead. But I want you to graph it. Should be similar to the examples that we've just done. But when I had y by itself equals some formula involving x, I knew for sure that was a function. So here, the second part is to answer, is this a function? And that's a question you might be able to answer before you even graph it by just looking at the equation. It might be something that you find easier to answer after you graph it. But try to graph that and answer that question. Pause the video, and then we'll go over it together when you've done it. I'm going to go ahead and answer the second question first. No, it's not a function. Now, I've got one graphical and one algebraic reason for that. Graphically, I'm expecting that this is going to be part of a circle, but instead of being the top or bottom half, I'm expecting that it's going to be the left or the right half. Looks like probably the right half because my x values are going to be a positive square root. Okay. And so that's going to fail the vertical line test. Now, if I'm relying on that geometric interpretation, I might prefer to just graph it first and then confirm that what I get fails the vertical line test. The more algebraic reason is I can see that I'm squaring these y's here. So I don't literally have y squared written, but if I FOILed out y plus 1 squared, that would give me some y squareds, as well as some y's and a number. And we've seen anytime an equation has y squareds in it, it's not going to be a function. So that's my purely algebraic way of seeing that the answer to question 2 is no. Let's now see if we can graph this. So I'm going to isolate the root, so I'm going to subtract that 2 over to the other side. So x minus 2 is the square root of 9 minus y plus 1 squared. And then I can square both sides. So I can say x minus 2 squared is 9 minus y plus 1 quantity squared. But when I square it, I want to make sure that I don't lose any information. Here, x minus 2 was this principal square root. So x minus 2 had to be bigger than or equal to 0, which means x is going to have to be bigger than or equal to 2. Okay, I'm going to add over those y's. So we'll have x minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared is equal to 9, with the restriction that x is bigger than or equal to 2. Now that equation would be the graph of a circle, or would give me a circle whose center, whoops, I didn't mean to write circle, I meant to write center, whose center would be at the point 2, negative 1. Notice the x value of the center is 2, and our restriction was that x had to be bigger than or equal to 2. So this is going to be giving me the right half of that circle. And the radius is just the square root of 9, which of course is 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph that. So I'm going to start by plotting the center, and I'll erase that when we're done. Okay, the radius was 3, so from here I could come up 3, so that would put me at a point of 2, 2, and I could come down 3, and that would put me at a point 2, negative 4. Those are going to be my highest and lowest points. I could come to the right 3. That's going to put me at 5, negative 1. And then I can connect those points. Whoops. If you miss a point, make it bigger. Okay. Let's erase the center because that's not actually part of the circle. So we're getting the right half of this circle. Okay. As far as labeling things, anytime you've got endpoints of a function like this, you want it to be clear where they are. Now, if you're using graph paper and you're lining up with the grid lines, you can probably make that clear without labeling them. If you're very careful about marking off your tick marks and you include a note that, hey, these points have integer coordinates, then you probably don't need to label them. Doesn't hurt though to label them. I'm going to, I think, just make it a habit to, when I'm drawing half a circle, just draw the starting and the ending points. Okay. Looking at the graph now, I can see that that does fail the vertical line test. So as we discussed previously, that is not a function.